Welcome back and thank you for joining me. I hope you've been well. Let's get to our stories. And remember, the timestamps are, as always, in the description box. Story number 1. Opie writes, coming here because I know I absolutely cannot discuss this with anyone in real life. But title says it all. I've been a side chick for over 5 years. I didn't know he had another girlfriend until about 2.5 years into the relationship. Keep in mind, by this time I was already so deeply in love with this man and thought I'd marry him. Lost my V card to him and everything. We met when I was young and he was a bit older, and the effect he had on me was insane. To cut a long story short, I was so in love with him already that I couldn't bear the thought of being without him. So I stayed. If me, I know. She doesn't know about me, but I know about her. His excuse for this whole thing is that he needs to stay with her because he's getting a permanent visa via their relationship, and that once he gets it, he'll leave her and we'll be together. I know this is effing stupid, but I literally love this man so much I don't know how to leave, but I know I must leave. I've been slowly building the courage. It's especially hard because I have an insane level of chemistry with him. We're so compatible in every way, besides the fact he has someone else. He helps me financially and emotionally, and I love being around him, and the sex is great. But I know this effed up situation has to end, and I need to move on. He lives with her too. They own a house and share a bed, but he claims they don't sleep together. I guess what's tipped me over the edge is that I just found out they adopted a dog together. We would always speak about adopting a husky together one day, but he's gone and done it with her behind my back. This, quote, relationship, unquote, was doomed from the start. And I know what I have to do. The thought of living my life without him is almost too painful to think about. But it can't be much worse than crying myself to sleep every night knowing he's in bed with another woman. And yes, I know I'm a homewrecker and an effing idiot and a loser, but what else is this sub for? And here's additional information from Opie. I've read every response to this post, and I want to thank you all. You're saying the things that I've said to myself 1,000 times over now. I know I am in the wrong, 100%. I didn't come here for sympathy. I came here for honesty, and to have some internet strangers confirm what I already knew. I will be leaving him. I have used some of your words in the letter I've written to him. For some added context, if anyone cares, I experienced some pretty heavy-duty trauma just before I found out I was the other woman. He was very much there for me, and I now realize I probably trauma bonded with him. I was 17 when we met, and he was in his early 20s. I don't want to call it grooming because it didn't feel like it, but maybe I'm being ignorant. I guess the whole point of grooming is that you don't know it's happening. This is genuinely not an excuse, but might help to understand why some people stay in situations where they absolutely have no business being. And for those telling me to tell the other girlfriend, believe me, I want to, but I'm honestly kind of scared of him. Too much to explain here, but I don't doubt that he would make my life a living hell if I effed up his life and chance to stay in this country, or worse. Thank you all, the ones who are kind and the ones who are tough, for giving me the last bit of courage I needed to do this. And here's Opie's update. Firstly, I really need every one of you to know how much you've helped me. I'm not super into Reddit and had no idea how many amazing people are on here to give genuine, great and honest advice. You all really opened my eyes to the truth of this situation. I finally left him. I invited him around because we needed to talk. Now, before I get crucified for this, he has a key to my house. So effing dumb, I know. So I needed to see him in person to retrieve it. Plus, that selfish part of me wanted to tell him in person just how much he's destroyed my self-worth and life in general. I wrote a letter to compose all my thoughts and included a lot of the points you guys made in my original post. He took it surprisingly well and actually cried, which I've never seen before. He was upset about my decision, but agreed completely that it couldn't continue. He did apologize for his part in this and for the pain he's caused me by essentially wasting my time for years. He still stands by the visa story. Who knows if it's real, but at this point, there's nothing he could say to get me back. Perhaps it was just more emotional manipulation, but I'll say he seemed sincere. I got my keys and blocked him off everything and said we need to go totally no contact. He obviously knows where I live and work, so I needed to be sure to end things somewhat amicably for safety reasons. Now, almost every single comment told me to tell the other girlfriend. Please understand that I absolutely do want to do that, but it's not always that simple. I mentioned this in a comment, but I am scared of what he may do in retaliation. I don't know if he's a violent person, but he's definitely unpredictable sometimes, and he would likely do his best to ruin my life any way he could if I exposed him. He also has sensitive media of me from my younger days, which I have asked him to delete. He claims he did, but I don't believe it, to be honest. Revenge porn recently became a crime where I live, so if he tries it, I'll certainly go the legal route. I'll also be moving in a few months' time and likely getting a different job, so I've kept all the evidence and plan on telling her when I'm in a safer position. I know I'm being a coward here, but I don't know what else to do. A bunch of you also told me to get STD checked, because he probably has other side pieces. I naively never really thought of this, but I've booked the appointment. Let's hope he hasn't effed my life up even more. As a final note, I want to reiterate that I know that I was completely wrong in my actions once I found out about the other girlfriend. I know I should have walked away. Hopefully someone else can take this as a lesson to never mess around with an older man when you're a teen. He manipulated me to the point where I genuinely believe I couldn't live without him, even until now. I'm still scared of what the future looks like for me, but I will absolutely be getting some therapy. I hope I can come out on the other side of this as a better person. Even with the limited hindsight I now have, I'm disgusted by how selfish I was, and I will never allow myself to make a mistake like this again. Thanks again, Reddit. So many of you shared such loving and kind words. And even the comments that were brutal, you all helped me to see myself clearly, and it was the wake-up call I so desperately needed. Onwards and upwards. OP, there really was nothing else for you to do except to end that relationship. 5 years is a long time to be, as you say, the side chick. And I do understand that 2.5 years into it, you had a lot of attachment, emotional attachment to this man, and it was hard for you to just break it off. But you did it, finally. You said that he destroyed your self-worth, but it sounds to me like you're getting it back, OP. That's kind of the thing also about being the side chick. It's not about just interfering in another relationship, even though you didn't know it at first. It's also about the lack of self-respect and realizing that you deserve more than being the one on the side. But you've learned from this, OP, and some lessons in life are painful. And I do believe you when you say you will never put up with something like this ever again. I don't know exactly how young you were when you did this, as you said, the sensitive media in your younger days with him. But absolutely, if he should release that online to anybody, you should go the legal route, as you said you would. And OP, in the future, maybe it would be wise not to allow anybody to make these types of videos with you in it again. Because that's just the thing of it. You never know where it can end up one day. Story number 2. OP writes, I am a 30-year-old male. I have a well-paying job, roughly 100k per year, no debt. My girlfriend has 250k in private student loans from undergrad private school with a variable interest rate. Recently, the interest hit over 11%, and doing the math on the loans has me devastated. With how fast it is growing, she will need to put 25k a year into it just to keep it in the same place. That basically guarantees that I will never have financial help during our relationship. Additionally, with how much she will need to work just to pay on the loans, I won't have much help around the house or with our kids, if/when we have some either. I keep blaming myself that I can't just deal with it. It's just money, right? But at the same time, when I look at the reality of the situation, I can't help but feel I need to walk away from this situation. Additionally, she is going back to school in the fall for a higher paying job. Probably 60 to 85k income at the end realistically, with a possibility of 125k a year if she works herself to death. But this program will add another 30k in federal loans. I think this is a bad decision, but it's also the only option she seems to have to up her income. I feel like I don't want to wait until I'm 45, when this debt might be paid off to have children. I don't want to put my life on hold in this way, but I also love her a lot. We've talked a lot about this, and about her plan to pay it down, etc. It now feels like my options are either accept that this is reality, and it will be many years before she's free of this debt, or end the relationship. Any advice? Editing to add context. Private loans aren't eligible for PSLF, as far as I know. That's a federal program. Student loans aren't eligible for bankruptcy. She currently lives with family. She has a job, but it doesn't earn much over $30K a year. Job unrelated to her initial degree. She will start the program in the fall, which will mean school for 1.5 years, and then earning potential of 65 to 125K, more if she works like mad. The loan was originally around 180K, undergrad at a private fancy school, but has grown due to the interest. Her mom co-signed on a few of the loans from what I understand, but has the mindset that her investments make more than paying into her daughter's loans. We have been together for 2 years. Yes, I have talked to her at length about this situation. Lastly, thank you for those of you that said I am not a bad person for thinking about this, and that my feelings are valid. It means a lot to me. I am going to sit with this for a while and make a decision within the next week or so. Here's OP's update. Wanted to give an update after reading all your comments and picking up a book about decision making in regards to money and love. Will share if interested. I've come to the decision that I do sadly need to end the relationship. She is a wonderful girl and honestly my best friend, but the reality of her choices financially will alter the course of my life in such a profound way that all I can see is resentment in the end. I have to stop guilting myself into sacrificing myself for others to the point of my own mental turmoil. I grew up in a foster-to-adopt family as the oldest, and I think I learned then to forget myself. Part of this decision is learning how to remember myself again. Thank you all for the advice. It really helped me to see that either choice is okay to make, and I'm not a failure for saying it's too much for me. OP, while it's sad that you ended the relationship, I do think it was the smart thing to do because what you said there about the resentment is very, very true. You would have gotten married, you would have grown resentful, and the marriage would have ended. So yes, indeed, why go down that path? It's a very mature decision that you made, OP, and the best one not only for yourself but also for your ex, I think. And I really hope she can get out of this debt in the future. A good education is supposed to give a person more opportunities in life and to make life easier. But when you're drowning in debt, well... Story number 3. Opie writes, my daughter Ruby is 12. Recently, she has gotten into the original Star Trek show, as well as the Next Generation. Ruby is also a big reader and has started to collect a few of the old Star Trek books that she finds in used bookstores and thrift stores. These books usually cost anywhere from 50 cents to a couple of dollars. My nanny, Tessa, female 22, hangs out with Ruby most days after she gets out of school. Tessa has been our nanny for over a year now, and she and Ruby get along great. Tessa is big into thrifting and will often keep an eye out for the books Ruby wants. This is not typically a problem, and Ruby always pays Tessa back for the books using her allowance. The problem occurred when Tessa went on a family vacation out west. Apparently, she went thrifting during this trip and found some books for Ruby. She texted Ruby asking her if she wanted the books, and Ruby said yes. Well, Tessa returned yesterday with a stack of about 35 books and told Ruby they cost $50. Ruby doesn't have this much money and told Tessa. Tessa then asked me if I would cover the cost. I said no, as Tessa had never asked me about buying Ruby the books. Nor was I aware of the conversation between the two of them. Tessa got upset, and I asked Ruby to show me the text, which made no mention of price or even the amount of books she was buying. Tessa only said that she found some books for Ruby. Ruby is on the autism spectrum and does not read between the lines. You have to be very literal with her. Previously, Tessa has never bought Ruby more than 1 or 2 books at a time. So I told her that she should have clarified with Ruby regarding the amount or double-checked with me before purchasing, and that I would not be paying the $50. Tessa said she could not return the books because they came from the thrift store. I stood firm in my decision and reiterated that she should have asked me first. Tessa left and Ruby is very upset. I know Tessa is a student and does not have a ton of money, so am I the a-hole for not paying Tessa for the books? Edit. Because some people are asking, I am a single parent to Ruby, and while $50 will not make or break the bank, it is definitely an unexpected expense. I provide Tessa with an extra amount of money each month to spend on whatever she wants to do with Ruby, movies, the mall, etc. If she wanted to spend this fund on books for Ruby, that would have been totally fine, but she had already used it up. Edit 2. I definitely didn't expect this post to blow up overnight, so I'm going to add a bit more context. For those of you who are asking how I can afford a nanny for Ruby and still have $50 be a large unexpected expense, I do not pay for Tessa's services. Because Ruby is on the spectrum, she is entitled to benefits from our state, including care. The agency I work with pays Tessa. I am not involved in that process at all. Here's Opie's update. I appreciate everyone's valuable insights into this situation. I have seen a few comments hinting to me about the fact that I don't support my daughter's reading habit. Please know this is definitely not the case. We are both big readers and frequent patrons of our local library. I'm always supportive of Ruby getting new books. I talked to Tessa and told her that I appreciate her for thinking of Ruby, apologized for the misunderstanding, and have paid her for the books. We had a chat about expectations in the future, and I don't think this will happen again. I've also talked to Ruby, and we agreed that I would hold on to the books, and she would pay me for them as she wishes. It's important to me that Ruby learns how to handle her finances appropriately, and we have decided that she will get 2 new books every week. She reads very quickly. After reading through your perspectives on the matter, I agree that it is better in the long run to lose the money and salvage the relationship between the 3 of us, and had not considered all the implications of doing otherwise. Lesson learned. Well, Opie, that's the important thing. You've learned a lesson through this, and all 3 of you now know how to handle a situation like this in the future. Well, that's it for now. If you liked it, give it a thumbs up. Please consider subscribing, leave me a comment, and I'll see you again next time. Take care of yourself. Bye.